Who's actually going to get the most out of a 10 kilowatt online UPS? And who would be better off putting that budget toward a smaller unit, or a different power protection strategy? If you're trying to decide whether the CyberPower OL10KRT Smart App UPS is the right fit for your rack, your home office, or your small studio, you're probably wrestling with a few practical questions. Will it keep my critical gear alive during a brownout? Does the app really make monitoring easier, or is it just another gimmick? And most importantly, is the price justified for someone who isn't running a data center grade environment? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last couple of weeks looking at the type of setups where a 10 kVA, double conversion UPS actually makes sense, and I've also dug through a handful of user comments on tech forums to see where owners are hitting sweet spots or running into annoyance. The OL10KRT isn't a kitchen appliance. It's a piece of infrastructure you typically slot into a 6U rack or stand on the floor of a server closet, and the way you use it will dictate whether the extra horsepower is a blessing or an overkill. First off, let's talk about the kind of load this thing can support. 10,000 watts is enough to keep a full rack of entry-level servers, a few network switches, and maybe even a small NAS array running without interruption. If you're a freelance video editor who runs a single workstation with a high-end GPU, a dedicated graphics card, and a couple of monitors, you'll probably never need that much capacity. In that scenario, a 2 kVA line interactive UPS would cover you and cost a fraction of the price. Conversely, if you're a small business that hosts a web server, an email gateway, and a VoIP PBX on a single rack, the OL10KRT gives you headroom to add a UP-spec UPS for a UP-spec device, future-proofing without having to replace the whole unit next year. One of the biggest draws advertised for this model is the Smart App integration. In practice, the app works the way you'd expect. It pushes battery status, load percentage, and runtime estimates to your phone, and you can acknowledge alarms or schedule a graceful shutdown from there. I tried it on both Android and iOS, and the connection was solid as long as the UPS stayed on the same local network. What matters in the real world is that you can see, for example, that a UPS on a remote branch office is running low on battery without having to log into a remote desktop. For IT admins juggling multiple sites, that's a genuine time saver. If you're a solo user who never leaves the server room, the app might feel like an extra layer you never touch, but it doesn't hurt anything. Now, the double conversion topology is the heart of an online UPS. It means the unit constantly converts incoming AC to DC, and then back to clean AC, shielding your equipment from sags, surges, and even frequency variations. In a region where the grid is notorious for voltage flicker, users report that their network switches stop rebooting and their NAS drives stay online. That's a concrete benefit you can feel no more. My internet went down at 3 a.m. because the power dipped. On the flip side, because the UPS is always converting power, it runs a bit hotter than a line interactive model. In a tightly packed rack, you'll need to make sure there's enough airflow, or you'll see the internal temperature creep toward the upper 40 SC under full load. It's not a deal breaker, but it's a hidden trade-off that some first-time buyers overlook. The hardware side of the unit is fairly straightforward: 4 IECC 13 outlets, all of them providing pure sine wave output. That's important if you're powering sensitive lab equipment, or a high-end audio interface that can hum on a modified sine wave. With only 4 outlets, you have to be selective about what you plug in. The unit comes with an EBM, energy-based management, option, which lets you set thresholds for when the UPS should start shedding load to preserve runtime. In a test where I simulated a gradual load increase, the EBM kicked in at the 80% mark and gracefully turned off a low-priority workstation, extending the runtime for the critical servers by roughly 15 minutes. If you need to protect a handful of devices and can tolerate turning some off during an outage, that feature adds real value. If you expect to keep everything online no matter what, you'll likely never use it. Another practical point is the 3-year warranty that includes the batteries. Batteries are the part of a UPS that usually dies first, and many brands sell a limited warranty that excludes them. CyberPower's batteries covered promise means you won't be hit with a $200 replacement bill after the first year, which can be a big relief for a business budgeting for hardware refreshers. The downside is that the warranty is tied to proper registration and periodic self-tests. If you skip the monthly test, you could unintentionally void the coverage.